Aries, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In this video, we review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun for the week of June 1st to June 7th. If you want to know where my eyes are going, it's to my notes. I write it all down for you because I can't remember it. We're going to start with the really big stuff, with the things that affect everybody this week that I want to bring your attention to. And then we're going to focus it in on those things that specifically might impact Aries. And then we'll break it down into the decans. And a decan is a group of 3 degrees. A group of 10 degrees. There are 3 decans in every zodiac sign because every zodiac sign has a total of 30 degrees. And since astrology is based on geometry, it's all geometry, and angles are what create the aspects. Aspects are angles. Aspects are just the energy that's generated or the chaos that's caused from an angle, a specific kind of angle forming between 2 different planets. So the reason we break the zodiac sign into 10 degrees is because you kind of got a 10 degree range of whether or not the aspect is even being formed. And if it's over 10 degrees, it's not going to have an impact. So we break things down into 10 degrees. I actually like to go more specific into 5 degrees, but we're going to keep it into the 10 decans. You don't have to know exactly where your natal sun is located for this video. You don't have to. All you have to know is your birth date, because I will translate the relative degrees into, I'll estimate about what birthdays they are, the range of birthdays they're covering. But the most accurate way is to grab yourself a natal chart. That's the first place you start when you love astrology anyway. You just grab yourself your natal chart. It's free. You don't have to pay anybody anything. Lots of websites generate them for free. You'll need your birth date, which you already have, your birth time, and your birth location. And with that information, there's so many websites that'll just jam out your full natal chart for you. It's the best place to start, and I hope you will. Please feel free at any time to leave comments down below. Let's dive in. The big stuff. Aries, this reading is from June 1st to June 7th, 2023. The big stuff. We have a full moon in Sagittarius happening between the 3rd and 4th. It depends on where in the world you live. If you're in the United States, Canada into Central South America, this would probably be happening on the 3rd. Because it's happening late at night Eastern Standard Time. It's about 11:42 Eastern Standard Time. So that's New York time. So all of us in the States are going to get the full moon at some point during the evening of the 3rd. But if you're in Europe, if you're in the Middle East, if you're over in Australia, it's definitely going to be happening. If you're in India, it's definitely going to be happening on the 4th. So it'll just be the 4th already by that point. So it's between the 3rd and 4th. I believe it's about 13 degrees, between 13 and 14 degrees Gemini. So it's in this, 13, 14 degrees Sagittarius, because the sun is in the 2nd decan of Gemini. So that's when the full moon is, when it's in a perfect opposition to the sun. The sun is in Gemini, the moon is in Sagittarius. I would think the special thing about this full moon is that it's trying to Chiron as well. And since it's in Sagittarius, there's this natural optimism and curiosity to it. There's an adventuresomeness to it. That's what moons in Sagittarius are all about. Being curious, being playful, growing and expanding through freedom. So we'll really be able to release and let go of all of those things that have restricted our freedom. And I'm not saying things as in actual things like prison bars, but I'm saying mindset, your mindset, those things that have restricted you, maybe without you being aware. I think you will become very aware this week, especially if it has to do with pain or suffering because of that trying to Chiron that you have experienced in the past. This will be an opportunity to let it go. So this is a very healing moon and a very optimistic moon, and we'll talk about those of you, Aries, who it's going to be impacting and how it's going to be impacting you the most. We also have Venus transitioning into Leo. Now, since the full moon is happening in Sagittarius and then Venus is transiting into Leo, this activates the house of Aries because Leo and Sagittarius are fellow fire signs and they're natural trines to you guys. So at some point from this point on, from the end of this week, Venus transitions into Leo on the 5th of June. Through the next week and a half, Venus will be impacting, through the next like 3.5 weeks, Venus will be impacting all of you. She will be eventually trine to each of your natal suns. There's a group of you that's going to get that experience this week. We'll talk about that, absolutely. But Venus going into Leo could work out, could position her in a harmonious position to your natal suns eventually. In the beginning, it could be kind of not so much, but yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because that's why I break it down into the decans. There's a group of you that will be impacted positively by this transition this week, and there's a group of you that will have a more challenging aspect to this transition this week. Just an FYI. And then we have, so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo is a frickin' diva. I don't know how else to say it. She loves attention, and if she doesn't get attention, she doesn't feel loved. Now, conversely, she also gives attention. That's how she shares affection. It's just by giving attention and just by showering you with compliments, and that's what affection is to Venus and Leo. And so there's kind of something that we need to watch out for, because when you look at love, especially objectively, attention and affection are not the same things. People saying yes, yes, yes to you is not the same thing as them caring about you. But Venus in Leo has the unfortunate handicap almost of interpreting it that way. Oh, you're agreeing with me? You must really care about me. Oh, you're paying attention to me? You must really love me. So it's real easy just by playing her ego to pull the wool over her eyes. And this is just something that I'm very aware of because my natal Venus is in Leo and I've had to live with this my whole life. So I just want to make you guys aware. Now, the good parts of Venus in Leo is that this is extremely loyal energy, and it's very, very much confident energy of I feel good about who I am and how I look. So that's a really nice energy as well. She could be a little spendthrifty, a little braggadocious when it comes to the finances, though. So that's another thing that you got to watch out for and learn to moderate. Let's go into what makes it even more intense. Venus, while she enters Leo, becomes opposite Pluto and square to Jupiter. She is where Mars was last week. Well, Mars has now cleared that intersection, and he is well into Leo. In fact, by the end of this week, he will enter the second decan of Leo. So he's kind of mid-Leo, swimming around much freer at this point, but Venus right in the line of fire, and the opposition to Leo and square to opposition to Pluto and square to Jupiter really puts Venus in a real shitty spot. Just because she's a diva already, to have those energies acting upon her, I don't like it. I'm just gonna say it. It's really something where the wool could easily be pulled over somebody's eyes just because your ego is being frickin' played. And so depending on what aspect you have to this all happening, we're going to see how it goes down for you, okay? We also have a real playful energy this week, and that is real playful. Yeah, kind of. Mercury conjunct Uranus. Now, we've had this just a few weeks. If you remember, about a month ago when Mercury was in retrograde, we had this with Mercury retrograde conjunct Uranus. And because Mercury retrograded itself all the way back to the beginning of Taurus, now it's come back and it's conjuncting Uranus again, but direct. And so I'm telling you, there's a major news coming through when it comes to tech, when there's major communications or distribution of tech coming through. Now, personally in your life, it could just be time to get a new cell phone, but this would be the time. It's not necessarily anything is breaking, but there's a huge energy around thought and intellect, and then that being communicated and distributed. So I think that energy will sort of flavor this week in general. And then we just have to make a note that Jupiter technically is still square to Pluto. And this makes everything also more dramatic and more intense and more relentless. And that's not going to end until the 15th of June. And around there, around the 15th of June is actually, I think, or maybe a couple days before, when Venus and Pluto actually stop being in opposition. So this could be a really kind of over dramatic, ridiculous kind of melodrama for the next couple of weeks. Just letting you know. Let's go into Mars. Let's talk about what really, Aries, you guys should be focusing on. So Mars is kind of happier now. It's kind of out of the line of fire. Like I said, it's going to move between 7 and 10 degrees Leo this week. Mars is very happy in Leo. Feels secure, feels confident, likes to be physical, is certain of itself. So this is a really nice energy for Mars to have around it. It's going to be square to Jupiter. Because of Jupiter's movement and Mars's movement, it's still technically square to Jupiter through the 5th of this week, but then it's going to be released from that as well. It'll kind of outrun the square. So just watch for more reactionary stuff going on, being more pugilistic, more like prone to jumping into fights when you don't have to. Just an FYI. I think it's an older aspect, so you're not feeling it as intensely. Aspects tend to, just like transits, you tend to feel them when they first happen, but don't count them out on the tail end either. So just a sense of hot-headedness, a little bit of, but you could use this energy as well. Being a square, you could use this energy to sort of be relentless and get through things and, you know, push through some rough patches or difficult situations. So that could be used for the good as well. Mars is also going to be square to the nodes until the 4th of this month, so June 4th. That's interesting because Mars has been square to the nodes for a while. And when any planet is square to the nodes, I almost feel like it's a karmic check-in point where there's a sense of there's major life changes, really, when it comes to attitude and direction. So Mars gets liberated from that too. Mars was under a lot of pressure for a while, and now Venus is stepping right in it. But by the end of this week, there will be a lot less pressure on the warrior, you know, so he'll just kind of get to, I don't know, have fun and do what he does. Mars is trine to the full moon. So that positions you, and your natal suns are, you have different aspects to the full moon, but all of you, I think, will benefit from Mars trining the full moon, because this tells me that you suddenly are in harmony with either actions you've taken or healing something that's happened to your body, or you're in harmony with your body and with trying new things or going in a new direction. There's a beautiful, harmonious, and graceful energy that happens to Mars around this full moon, and I like it for you. I just love it. So let's get into, shall we, Aries. So the zodiac sign of Aries, the house has cleared and only Chiron is there. So Chiron will move from 18 to 19 degrees this week. That's not a big deal. It's just going toward the second decan of Aries. And those of you who are in the beginning of the second decan of Aries, so those of you who have your natal sun between like 10 and 12 degrees, are not going to be feeling this pull so much on you anymore. You're not going to be feeling this conjunction as much. And that's a good thing. It's finally moving on. Like, it's not an easy conjunction to have. Just to let you know, my natal sun has been square to Chiron this whole time, and it's a son of a bitch. It's just not easy energy with Chiron. Now, Chiron conjunct your sun is actually really awesome energy. It's motivation, really, to heal those wounds and to heal others through what you've experienced or because of what you've experienced. So it can really change your dynamic for a couple of years in terms of, not only am I going to get through this, I'm going to figure out how to get other people through this as well. So that could be actually a very productive energy. Not the square though. Believe me, you don't want to be Cancers in the second decan. It was a real son of a bitch. I'm just letting you know. Let's get into Aries 1. So Aries 1, if your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Aries, that's you. You're Decan 1 or Aries 1. correlating birth dates, this is pretty much March Aries. If you're like from like March 22nd through the 30th, or does March have 31 days? I don't know. Pretty much the first 10 days of Aries season, which covers all the Marches. You are definitely an Aries one if you are a Pisces Aries cusp, and it goes right through to like the 30th, 31st. I feel like a fool. I can't remember, but that's okay. Your natal suns, if you are at the cusp, only if you're at the cusp of Pisces and Aries. So only if you're basically born around the 22nd, maybe the 23rd of March, is Neptune conjunct your sun. But Neptune is conjunct your natal sun, and this is a very creative energy. And I would not be surprised, and that would not be surprised if your minds were wandering more. That's not your mind's wandering, it's your mind's creating. Listen to it and find a conduit for it. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden it was you guys who were like, I want to take dance classes. I've always wanted to. I want to do it now. I want to take art classes. I've always wanted to. I want to do it now. I always wanted to write this book, and I have so many ideas now. It's a good time to start. This is a very creative energy, and it'll last a couple of years, so use it. You also have a long-term transit to Pluto. It's a sextile, so it's fantastic. This is productive, motivated, permanent change, and also an energy about you that's formidable, but not too intimidating. People just take you more seriously. This will kind of be a blessing for you for the next couple of years. Love it. But this week, by the 2nd of June, if you are at the Pisces cusp, Venus will be trine to your natal suns by the 2nd of June. This will change by the end of the week as Venus moves into Leo and then deeper into Leo. But you'll feel that trine to Venus around that time for you cuspers. And that means elegance. And elegance in the way you feel about yourself, elegance in the way you present yourself, harmony in your relationship, just feeling real good, feeling sexy, feeling valuable, right? And could even be harmony in the checkbook. So that's really a blessing for you guys at the cusp. And then all week long, you guys are all trine to Mars. Now, by the end of the week, Mars is going to be at 10 degrees Leo. So really only those of you toward the end of Decan 1 are really going to feel that trine to Mars. It's an energy boost. It's a sense of body and a sense of self and a sense of really feeling like hearty and brave. And it can make you very kind of happy to move forward and make progress and be interested in the possibilities. This is really beautiful energy for you guys. A trine to Mars is always wonderful because it's your ruling dignitary. So you have two blessings this week. The trine to Venus and the trine to Mars. Enjoy them. Actually, I will say this. I was wrong. As Venus goes deeper into Leo, you guys will actually, more of you will get more intensity with that trine to Venus. So really by the 2nd of June, you guys at the cusp will start to feel the trine. But by the end of the week, you'll actually get the full-fledged trine as Venus heads into Leo. And then the rest of the week, next week, all of you will be experiencing this trine. So I take it back. I get things reversed in my head all the time. But this is a really blessed energy, especially for, this is a good time to date. This is a good time to, redo your hair. If you've been thinking about it, this is a good time to do it. This is a good time to make any big ticket purchases. Not that you should, but if you've been thinking about buying a house, if you've been thinking about buying a car, this is a good time. This is when you could get a real good deal, right? And it's also when you're more just naturally appealing and present yourself better. So ultimately that could feel real nice for you. Get extra attention. Use it to your advantage. Aries 2. So if you're born between the 10 and 19 degrees Aries, you are Aries 2. This usually correlates between the 1st and the 10th of Aries, of April. So sort of the first week and a half of April. That's you guys. So your natal suns are conjunct to Chiron. Now, by the end of this week, Chiron will be at 19 degrees Aries, which means it's at the very end of the second decan. So really, it's just in a tight conjunction with those of you born around the 9th or 10th of April. But everybody will still be able to feel it a little bit. But those of you at the extreme other end, like say the 1st, you're probably kind of already done with it by now. I'm just saying, and that's okay, because it means that you've done what you've had to do. You've experienced what you have to experience, and hey, life moves on. If you're still experiencing it a little bit, that's fine. I think you're motivated by healing and by healing others because of what you've been through, whatever that means or however that plays out in your life. That's why it's been playing out in your life. But for those of you at the very end, Chiron will still be impacting you for another year, just an FYI. And it'll be intense, but use the energy to improve yourself. Because it is self-improvement through community improvement, through other people's improvement, through healing and inspiring others. So it's like being called to a purpose. We also have we have 3 aspects that are really going to impact you this week. It's you guys that are trying the full moon, and that's fucking beautiful. I'm just gonna say it. You're trying the full moon when the full moon happens on the 3rd or 4th, depending on where you are on the globe, and all week long you're sextile to the sun. This is just fantastic energy for manifesting. You better manifest with that moon. With the trine to the moon, you better go manifest. Get outside of your comfort zone. Be a Sagittarius. This is like you'll be very comfortable trying new things. Like very, very interested in things that you've never tried before. Foreign cultures, foreign religions, just expanding, growing, just being kind of adventurous, honestly. This is a great time to grow and let go. And with the sextile to the sun, it's just going to give you confidence and charisma and maybe even a little bit of romantic, like just a romance about yourself. So this is a really beautiful week for you. Another gift that by the 7th, so at the very, very end, only those of you born at the, very, very end, no, hold on. By this, I gotta figure out what I wrote down. Do any of you guys, that happens to you, is like you write it down and you're like, what did I mean by that? Yeah, that's what's happening to me right now. So Mars is going to be at 10 degrees by the 7th of this week. That means that it's those of you at the very, very beginning of the second decan. So that would be probably like the 10th. You'll start to feel a trine to Mars by that point. You guys will start to feel more vitality and feel like better about your physical self and just have a sense of progress. So this full moon is going to really, I think, catalyze this sense of intrepidatiousness for you guys especially. That's just going to be wonderful this week. Let's go into the 3rd decans. For those of you who are born between 20 and 29 degrees Aries, you are the 3rd decans. You're Aries 3. That translates to about the last 9-10 days of Aries season. So I guess like the 11th through the 21st. Maybe that's more. that could be more, but I'm guesstimating here with the birthdays, but around there. Definitely, if you are an Aries Taurus cusp, 100%, you are a 3rd decan. Let's talk about it. There's a lot of transitions that's going on, not necessarily transitions between zodiac signs, but transitions between the decans. That's why sometimes you'll hear me, these videos take longer, because it's like as the planets move, the energy will shift as well, because it won't be forming the aspect, or it will start forming the aspect in the middle of the week. So if you are a cusp, if you are an Aries Taurus cusp, Venus is on the cusp of Cancer and Leo. So all week long, you guys are going to be square to Venus. Your natal sun is going to be square to Venus. Cusps are basically the 20th and 21st, maybe the 19th, 20th, and 21st. That square to Venus means this is absolutely not a good time for you to make changes to your aesthetics, to buy large ticket items. In fact, watch your checkbook really, really tight. Be really, really tight. This could be when there's strain or stress between your romantic relationships. You won't have luck dating this week. There'll just be challenges that come up, and it'll kind of, since it's a square to the sun, challenge how you feel about who you are and make you aware of some maybe insecurities that you've been feeling. Just an FYI. You know, move that hair appointment out for like a week and a half. I'm just saying. We also have, so that's cusps all week long. Now, by the end of the week, once Venus goes into Leo, you're still going to feel it. So just an FYI, cusps are going to get the worst part of this, though. If you're at the cusp between, if you're like say the 21st of April, your natal suns are still conjunct to Jupiter, because Jupiter is between 3 and 4 degrees of Taurus right now. So you're still like lapping up that luck when it comes to Jupiter, conjunct to Jupiter. Now, conjunct to Jupiter isn't necessarily luck. It means big-headedness. So this square to Venus could also be coming from like a lot of egotistical things clashing because of your ego, expecting too much, expecting people to love you when, you know, they don't yet. You know, all of those things could really be coming up. So especially for those of you on the 21st, not on the 21st, there's no 21st this week. But those of you born April 21st, watch that energy. The 20th, 21st, April 20th, 21st birthdays, it's going to be especially kind of tense and clashing, kind of challenging week for you guys. Cusps are still square to Pluto, I wrote down. Oh shit. Damn. Yeah, you guys, whew, the energy will pass. I promise. But yeah, 19th, 20th, 21st, you guys are still, because you're still conjunct Jupiter, you're still there, and you're still kind of making a square to Pluto, your natal suns. So cuspers, really. It's the Aries, Taurus cuspers that are kind of getting hit hard by those squares that still exist. And when it comes to Pluto, that's going to be for a while. The conjunction with Jupiter will move on by the 15th of June, but this square to Pluto is long term. So what does that mean? Challenge with change, challenge with dynamic change, and sort of extreme reactions to getting things done, being relentless to the point of maybe being ruthless at times, which is why maybe people are clashing with your character, because they're picking up on the fact that you don't, or at least it feels like you don't give a shit about them. I would expect those kind of interactions to persist for the next couple of years. So understand that energy is about you, and you can use it. It's hard though. I gotta tell you, with Pluto, it's really difficult. You can basically use it by yielding to it and saying, okay, I know change is gonna happen, and I'm gonna try to get my ego out of the way of it as much as I possibly can. Remember, relentless, not ruthless. You guys really have to focus on that one, because the relentlessness is really good. A sense of, if you just use the energy to not give up and to persist through change, that's wonderful. But to be ruthless and to do it no matter what, and be willing to walk on people, step on people, or trash people to get things done, that's going to build up some real toxic karma for you. And since it involves Pluto, it's not just karma, it's dharma, which means it's stuff that could come back around and bite you from a past life, or you could be experiencing something bite you from a past life. And I know people think we're crazy when we say this, but it's like, energy doesn't die when our bodies do. Like yeah, the energy our body produces does, but our consciousness doesn't. And I do believe in rebirth and multiple life cycles. And so you don't kind of lose that. And if you've ever experienced this energy, and I know some people have, why am I having it so rough? I don't understand. Like, why is things just so hard on me? This is past life shit. This is past life shit that's catching up to you. Look where your Pluto is, and look where your Saturn is, to check on where your karma's coming from. This is important for you guys especially. So you let me know in the comments below. I love you so much, Aries. And hopefully you'll come join me on Born Without Boundaries for your week ahead tarot card reading. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We really need to grow over here. I love these videos and I want to keep producing them. But I've got to grow. I've got to grow the subscribers. I've got to grow the views. So please help us grow over here by subscribing and liking this video. I love y'all, and I'll see you next week. Bye, Aries.